Is it possible to be good in bed even if it's the first time you're having sex? What about if you aren't a virgin but you just don't have much experience? Is it still possible to be considered great by a woman? Well, by the end of this video, you will never have to worry about being embarrassed by your lack of experience because you'll know the mistakes that even experienced guys make, how to avoid them, and exactly what it takes to be considered an amazing lover. I want this video to be a one-stop shop to build your confidence so that you can dive in ready to give a woman the experiences they're craving. So let's start with the 3 biggest mistakes that most guys make when it comes to the horizontal tango. Firstly, they feel they have to put on some perfect performance. They treat sex like it's a round of Guitar Hero where they set the difficulty to the most intense one and then they get demoralized the first time they miss a note. This mentality usually comes from watching a lot of porn, and these guys are getting it in their head that that's what sex is and what it's supposed to look like. They put so much pressure on themselves to have to be this thing that they either end up giving themselves ED, coming quickly, or sometimes they even self-sabotage before they even get into the bedroom. They psych themselves out and the sex stops becoming this fun, explorative experience and instead feels like some kind of test. Even if they don't end up with performance anxiety, this vibe and fear becomes the main focus and they tend to shut themselves down from expressing themselves in the bedroom. They become silent, they lose their personality, and ultimately, it destroys their connection with women. The second biggest mistake most guys make is that they rush the experience. And there's 2 main reasons I find that guys will do this. The first one is they make sex all about achieving a goal, whether it's his orgasm or hers. They create all this pressure that they have to make her come 20 times or they aren't a man. And this pressure, once she feels it, destroys any chance of her being able to hit that climax. Now, the second reason I find that guys will rush the process is because they may be too eager to lose their virginities, or they're too eager to get their dick in and have sex. Once again, missing everything that makes sex really pleasurable and a great experience for themselves and their partner. And the third biggest mistake is that they don't pay attention to their partner and the experience. They get so caught up in their head thinking about the next thing that he should be doing, or about work or an insecurity or something completely irrelevant to what's going on in the here and now. And this means that they'll miss the subtle cues that their partner will give them about what she loves and what's pleasurable, and what things may be not feeling as great. When they aren't paying attention and they aren't tuned into their partner, they struggle to change and adapt, and they just stick to the same thing they think is working, but could be completely missing the mark. When it comes to sex, you want to be present with your partner so that you can build and maintain a connection, which makes it easier to feel their subtle cues and understand exactly what her and you need in that exact moment. And now that you know the 3 big mistakes that most men are making, you can avoid them. So let's move on to how you can take your abilities to the next level. Now, this first one may sound a little bit hard to grasp, but you'll get it by the end of this video. Now, it may sound cliche, but confidence really is key here. When you're confident in what you're doing, you bring a new kind of vibe that your partner can trust. If you're always hesitant and unsure of yourself, she'll feel that in every touch and sensation that you try to give her. And you're probably saying, great, how can I be confident when I've never done it before? And honestly, that's a fair question. So let me ask you one. Does a wannabe pilot just jump into a plane the first day they decide to be a pilot and they just take off? No. If they did, they definitely wouldn't be feeling confident, and none of their passengers would be either. Instead, they study and learn the things they need to know so that when it does come time to jump into a plane, they have the foundations to do the job. And that alone will be enough to give them the confidence to fly. And it'll give their passengers more confidence in their abilities as well. And the same thing goes for a brain surgeon. They don't just start cutting heads open. They learn everything they need to in theory, then they move to the practical. So why does sex have to be any different? Most guys never take the time to deepen their knowledge and understanding of sex, so they suffer from a lack of confidence, which also limits their abilities to gain practical experience. So if you don't have much experience right now, do whatever you can to learn more about how you can give pleasure to your partner and how you can enhance the pleasure you can give to yourself as well. And part of building out that confidence and to stand out, to have women feel you know exactly what you're doing, is to give her next level foreplay. Foreplay can actually be more important than the sex itself, and this is the part that most guys tend to rush because they don't realize how important it really is. If you know anything about sex and women's pleasure, then you'll know on average, it can take a woman anywhere from 13 to 30 minutes for her to be in the right mindset and aroused state for her to be able to orgasm. And yet guys will only do about 2 to 5 minutes before they try to move on, which makes it really hard for a woman to relax, let go, and orgasm in such a short period of time. Think of it kind of like a pressure washer. You need to prime it before you can get it spraying everywhere. And that's foreplay. It's the primer before sex to get her and yourself in the right zone to go. You want to really spend your time having fun, kissing, touching, and exploring each other's bodies as much as possible. Test new feelings and sensations in areas and see what you can find and what sensations and pleasure you can give without your genitals. Focus on everything else first, then once things are built up, you then introduce them. Just don't rush to attack them and only focus there. We are more than our so you don't want to treat sex like we aren't. And lastly, focus on being present with her and making communication normal and a part of the play. Don't get an ego thinking you have to be perfect on your own. Let her know that it's okay to give you feedback. Up, down, left, right, harder, faster, softer, slower. Like, don't make sex all about proving yourself. It's a dance, a collaboration. Don't focus on how many orgasms can I give her, but instead focus on how can we experience more pleasure together. And look, it's okay to be nervous, but if you take the time to learn the foundational knowledge about women, their bodies, and the techniques, and then you pair that with being present with her and in tune with her body and her responses, focusing on how you can both have more pleasure and not rush the experience to get to a goal, you'll already be leagues above 90% of men out there, and she'll love and crave that experience that you and only you can give her. And if you want some extra ideas for techniques and ways to really turn her on and to give her next level experiences, I have a 30-minute foreplay training I'll give you for free. All you have to do is message me over on Instagram with the word foreplay and I'll send you a copy. And in the meantime, check out these videos.